2016. Maureen, can I have a roll call, please?
Mayor Hines.
Present.
Mr. Buontempo.
Present.
Mr. Impreveduto is absent. Mr. Fratelli.
Here.
Mr. Nicholas.
Here.
You have a quorum, Mayor Hines.
Thank you. Will everyone please rise so we can do our pledge of allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And if everyone can please remain standing for a moment of silence while we honor our troops, both home and away. Thank you. If everyone can please find a seat. There's plenty of seats, at least 6 of them, next to this fine-looking gentleman right here in the front row. Plenty of room. Good evening. Thank you, Declan. Declan, come on up, please. As all of you are, I'm sure, aware, over the last few weeks, we've been under a intense informational search to understand the JCP&L reliability project. The deputy mayor and myself have had at least a half dozen meetings with the other mayors, with JCP&L, to try to educate and understand the need and the goals behind this particular project. And although Holmdel, within its legal boundary, doesn't have the ability to hold up or stop this, just as we don't have the ability to promote it in any way, we felt as a leadership team it is critical that we call a special meeting, a public meeting, with really 3 goals in mind. One is obviously to provide all the information. Number 2 is to make it very publicly known that we are against this project and we need to stop this project. And obviously, and then number 3 is what you can do as residents as we band together as a community in stopping it. I do want to recognize a few bodies. First off, we have 4 of our 5 Pat's away on vacation, but I want to give some special recognition to our deputy mayor. He's been all over this, and he spent a lot of time making sure that we had the right agenda, going out and helping us get a resolution, and really doing a lot of investigating work tonight. But we have a lot of special guests. We have Declan O'Scanlan, Senator Declan O'Scanlan? Assemblyman. I just promoted him. Someday. So jump in the gun? Assemblyman Declan O'Scanlan, freeholder, Deputy Director and former Mayor of Holmdel, Serena DeMasso. I have the Mayor of Hazlet, who has been, Scott Oder, who has been out swinging on this over the last 6 weeks. First one to get on the floor. Very impressive. I think we all know Amy Hamlin and the work she's done in 1989 and now. I think she thought she was done with this 27 years ago, but they're back. I think that's it as far as special guests go tonight. But I have to tell you that in a world where sometimes politics get isolated and people do the wrong thing because that's what their party says, and at a time where we've become more polarized than ever, this has been a big relief, because this is really a bipartisan mission to, I think, preserve what I think is a special place. It's where I grew up, and I've got the honor of being involved in leadership and serving as mayor of this town of Holmdel. So I have to thank not only the 5 mayors, Aberdeen, Red Bank, Hazlet, Middletown, but the entire Bayshore Conference of Mayors that have come out in support of us, because you could argue that selfishly, Keyport or Keensburg might somehow benefit from this, but they've been 100% in supporting that this destroys some of the vision and some of the beautiful look that we have as we come off the Parkway at 117 and we head towards Red Bank or the shore, that this is changing our landscape. And JCP&L might have a job to do, but we've got a property to protect. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to read a letter from the Bayshore Conference of Mayors. Dear Mr. Hurley. Mr. Hurley is the Vice President of Operations at JCP&L. We, the undersigned, submit this letter to formally object to the proposed Monmouth County reliability project that's currently designed. We have serious concerns about numerous aspects of the project, namely, possible serious health risks to residents, negative impact on property values, adverse impacts to the National Register of Historic Places listed and eligible historic districts and properties, aesthetic degrading of the region, dangers posed by damage or destruction of equipment power lines during severe weather events, unclear demonstration of the need of this project. We understand that there is a state issue that will be decided by the Board of Public Utilities. To that end, we wholeheartedly support Assemblywoman Amy Hanlon, Assemblyman Declan O'Scanlan, and Senator Joseph Carrillis in their efforts to ensure that the concerns of our residents are heard. In closing, we respectfully ask that JCP&L offer alternative designs that would improve the energy infrastructure without negatively impacting our residents. We also request that formal presentations be made at public meetings at each of the affected towns. These meetings need to include a period where residents can get their immediate concerns addressed, and that is signed by all of the Bayshore Conference of Mayors. What I'd like to do right now is turn it over to Declan O'Scanlan. Declan, you have a few words you'd like to say to the group?
Sure. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's sad that we'll have to come together over an issue like this, but it's really good to see that our communities are as vital as they are. This is a packed house. There have been numerous ones, and he's done a great job in mobilizing everyone up to now. We've had extensive meetings, just so you know, with BPU, with JCP&L, with members of the public. Had a great meeting with the folks leading the RAGE organization, and I have to say it was one of the most professional meetings that I've ever been able to participate in. A lot of times, regarding issues like this, there's a lot more emotion than argument. I think we're all on the same page that we're going to win this, not by emotion. We're going to win this by building a case. When I say win this, I want to make clear that one of the things that has to be in the works here is that we have to have a fair assessment of the power that our region will need. Who will benefit from this? Who won't? Who might profit from it? What the motivations are. When we understand that and then start exploring our options, that will be where our real ability to affect this project will be. We can't simply say no, nothing, never, because that doesn't win the argument of rationality and substance. So know this, that your leaders, in the form of Senator Carrillis, Assemblywoman Hanlon, and myself, that's what we're going for. We are going to dig into this, and we already have been substantially. We have the benefit of Assemblywoman Hanlon's previous experience. 27 years ago, she was 10 years old when she fought that fight, for the record. So we really are attacking this from all sides, including having long discussions, respectful discussions with JCP&L. Without that, without some engagement with them, we won't be able to get the answers that we want as quickly as we want to get them. Ultimately, much will be made public once and if they file an application with BPU, which they haven't done yet. But I want to get a jump on it, and so does Amy, and so does Joe. I do also want to thank our local public officials. As was mentioned by the mayor, it's been a wonderful bipartisan effort. And that's the other thing that's going to enable us to have our voices collectively heard and have as much impact on this project as we possibly can. It would be collectivizing our resources, not playing politics, not getting out ahead, or concerned with who's getting the credit for what. It's going to be a coming together of people from all sides of the political spectrum, and they have. And that really is a pleasing thing to see. And ultimately, we'll have other decisions to make. We collectivize resources and the attention of attorneys and all that sort of thing. But we're all in this together. We will be in this together. And I look forward to fighting along all of you as we move forward to make sure we get the power that we need in this region in the least impactful way on all of our residents, their properties, and their children. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, Declan. Before I forget, if anyone has specific questions, and Deputy Mayor is going to go over some of the questions that we prepared, but specific questions, we are hoping that you take the time and The young woman right there, Wendy, raise your hand, please. If you have any questions that you want to write down, we are compiling a master list so that we work with JCP&L and we are getting some answers, regardless of how important or unimportant you think that question is. Please write it down and we'll work with that. I would like to call the Mayor Hazlet to come over and say a few words. He was kind enough to come over, Scott, so please come on in and say a few words. Thank you, Scott. The man's been a prize fighter. He came out swinging early in JCP&L.
Well, first, I'd just like to thank you, Mayor Hines and Township Committee, for inviting me. Just here basically to support, that I'm in support with all you guys in opposition to this project and working alongside with Assemblywoman Amy Hanlon, Kevin O'Scanlan, the freeholders, and all the other towns. So I'm just here for support, and we'll do whatever we can to try and stop this project. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Scott. Holmdel's own former mayor, Serene DeMassa. Deputy Director.
Good evening, everyone. I'm here tonight as on behalf of the entire board of the chosen freeholders. Director Arnone sends his apologies for not being able to be here. He had a previous commitment, as do the other freeholders. We want you to know, and when we had our meeting, we actually traveled, the second meeting of the month, and we traveled here on June 23rd. And at that meeting, we made a statement, and it stands true today. We are constantly working with the governing bodies. Tony Fiore and myself are putting together a meeting with the 5 area mayors so that we can work out a plan to combat this, as Assemblyman O'Scanlan said. And we're going to invite, both of them to come because Amy's knowledge and what she offers and what she can bring to the table is, exponentially, priceless, right? So we are trying to put together that meeting so that it's just a little hard in the summer with vacations, but we're going to make sure that we get that together. But we are in constant contact with them, and we want you to know that first and foremost on our minds is the safety and welfare of our community. And we need to take care of each one of you as if you are our own, and you are our own. So we will also be having a resolution on our next agenda about the project. And it will be sent forward with the rest of them, and together we will show the unified front. As the Assemblyman said, and as Amy has said all along, we have to work together to get this done, and we'll get it done together. So thank you very much, and best of luck.
As I opened up tonight, I told you that JCP&L doesn't really need our permission, and for that we don't have the power from a zoning perspective to stall or prevent them. However, we came together as a group and felt it was critical that we did create a resolution to, very publicly state our position on this. So I'd like to ask the newest member, Committeeman Michael Nicholas, to read that resolution.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So, whereas Jersey Central Power and Light Company, known as JCP&L, has recently announced plans for a 230,000 kilovolt transmission line with 140-foot high monopoles along the New Jersey Transit right-of-way running through the Township of Holmdel, the JCP&L Reliability Project, and whereas a similar project was proposed by JCP&L in 1989, but was withdrawn in the face of overwhelming opposition, and whereas the Township Committee of the Township of Holmdel has serious concerns related to the health, safety, and aesthetics of JCP&L's recent plan. And whereas, in the opinion of the Township Committee, JCP&L's proposal will have significant negative impact on the real estate values, which will decrease the tax base of the Township. Now, therefore be it resolved by the Township Committee of the Township of Holmdel, County of Monmouth, State of New Jersey, that it hereby formally expresses its opposition to the proposed reliability project, and be it further resolved that a copy of this resolution shall be sent to the Executive Director of New Jersey Transit, urging New Jersey Transit to work with JCP&L to bury the line along the railroad tracks. Be it further resolved that the Township Committee requests that JCP&L choose to utilize underground conduit for transmission lines for the Monmouth County Reliability Project, and be it further resolved that a copy of this resolution shall be sent to the Board of Public Utilities to to note the township's opposition in the event that JCP&L submits an application to the BPU for said reliability project, and be it further resolved that additional copies of this resolution shall be sent to the following: Governor Chris Christie, State President Stephen Sweeney, Senator Joseph Carollos, Assembly Speaker Vincent Toretto, Assemblywoman Amy Hadlin, Assemblyman Peatland O'Scanlan, Monmouth County Board of Chosen Freeholders, Clerk of Middletown, and the Clerk of Hazlet. Thank you.
I'd like to make a motion, Mayor, that we accept this resolution and move it forward, knowing that we need to, if we need the power, we need to put the lines on the ground.
Second. Roll call.
Mr. Cutelli?
Yes.
Mr. Bontempo?
Yes.
Mr. Nicholas?
Yes.
Mayor Hines?
Yes. Thank you. Next, I'd like to, before I bring up Amy Hanlon, I want to make a few words. Now, I mentioned before I grew up in Middletown, and I graduated in the Pride Line class in 1988. And Amy Hanlon has been fighting fights like this for a very, very long time. And it didn't take her a week, it didn't take her a month. She didn't need to study anything. She didn't need some engineer to give her any breakdowns. She knows the beauty of Monmouth County. And she quickly helped organize. I remember got a text one night saying, "Hey, Amy Hanlon's on a conference call. Can you join us?" And she has been a very quiet leader for a very, very long time, a true public servant, and I know she's 100% behind the public on this one. So I'd like to call up Amy Hanlon on this. Please.
Thank you, Mayor, for those kind words. And more importantly, thank you very much for calling this meeting, for the actions that you all took, and certainly for offering your constituents, our constituents, the opportunity to participate by sharing with you their questions, which I know that you will compile. We'll put them together with 30 questions that Rage has already submitted, and I know the Deputy Mayor has in front of him. And you will submit them to JCP&L with the power and authority of the Township Committee behind your request, which I hope will be phrased as a demand, that JCP&L provide answers. Now, you've mentioned a couple of times that I was involved in a fight against what was the exact same proposed project all those years ago. And as you are aware, and as the public probably knows as well, at that time, Middletown Township chose to file a lawsuit against JCP&L. As part of the legal proceedings, Middletown hired 6 expert witnesses who were engaged to evaluate and produce reports about different dimensions of the threat, as we saw it, the threat as all of us still see it, posed by this kind of a project to our community. Now, in the interest of time, I did not bring all 6 of those expert reports. I do want the Township Committee and the public to be aware that if you are interested in reading them in their entirety, they will be available for download on my Facebook page. I would, however, with your indulgence, Mr. Mayor, like to read excerpts from 3 of them into the record. The first expert report from which I would like to read an excerpt was prepared by Dr. Andrew Marino, a professor at Louisiana State University Medical Center and author of the textbook Foundations of Modern Bioelectricity. Middletown engaged him to evaluate the health risks of the electromagnetic fields to be emanated by the proposed transmission line. I quote, "The various reports of electromagnetically induced biological changes can be summarized this way. Exposure to EMFs can result in alterations in all body systems, including the nervous, endocrine, heart, blood, immune, and reproductive systems. A stimulus that elicits such responses is called a stressor. Heat, cold, food deprivation, overcrowding are examples of stressors. Each of these factors produces short-term changes that are similar to many of the changes produced by electromagnetic fields. The ability of a stressor to facilitate disease has been documented in many studies, showing that animals exposed to 2 chronic stressors are less able to resist disease than are animals exposed to only 1 stressor. There is also an extensive literature implicating stressors as risk factors for cardiovascular disease, diabetes, depression, allergies, and cancer. Since chronic stressors promote disease in the manner described, and since electromagnetic fields are stressors, I conclude that higher disease levels will be found in the groups of subjects living in the electromagnetic field of the proposed power line compared to the amount of disease that would occur if the line were not built or were built underground. My view is based on a consideration of all of the data. The only respectable arguments I have ever heard from those who have opposed this conclusion are based on consideration of only part of the data. Under such limitations, any desired viewpoint can be sustained. People who live within about 1,000 feet of the proposed power line will experience electric and magnetic fields greater than those that existed prior to construction and operation of the power line. There is ample evidence in the literature to indicate that such chronic exposure may constitute a health risk. It may be the position of JCP&L that all such studies were poorly done and hence should be ignored, or that the studies show only effects in animals and leave open the question whether effects actually occur in people. JCP&L may conclude that the studies show only that biological effects exist, but do not indicate that the effects are hazardous. JCP&L may believe that the effects are only suspected but not proved, or that the effects are only probable but not certain. In short, there are many potential positions that JCP&L might take regarding the literature, but it cannot credibly maintain that there is agreement among scientists regarding whether the exposed subjects are at risk to their health. Power industry consultants have not said they are certain that power lines are not a health risk. Plainly, this means that the possibility of risk, however remote, is conceded. The quantum of the risk is irrelevant because it is the existence of the risk that triggers the duty to obtain informed consent. In my judgment, JCP&L has an ethical duty to inform the people affected by the proposed power lines of the divisions and disagreements that exist with regard to the issue of risk to their health. The basic principle of personal autonomy requires that the subjects be aware that electric fields and magnetic fields created by JCP&L will interact with their bodies and that such exposure might promote disease. A failure by JCP&L to provide disclosure of the possibility of risk and to obtain consent violates the individual's fundamental right to self-determination. In conclusion, the power line will create electric fields and magnetic fields extending about 1,000 feet from each edge of the right-of-way. The fields will cause continuous movement of electrical charges within the bodies of persons who live or work within the zone of influence of the power line. Numerous laboratory studies have shown that electric fields and magnetic fields are chronic stressors. Chronic stressors promote human disease because they tax the body's adaptive capacity. For this reason, I conclude that higher levels of disease will occur among the subjects within the zone of influence of the proposed power line, compared to the levels that would occur if the line were not built or were built underground. JCP&L has a responsibility to adequately inform the exposed subjects of both sides of the health risk issue, and it has the further duty to not expose subjects to risk in the absence of informed consent. The second expert report I'd like to quote from was prepared by William Stack, an appraiser with the Hoboken firm Stack & Stack. His topic was the diminution in property values expected to be experienced if the proposed line were to be built. This appraiser has reviewed the type of community, the area through which the transmission line would be installed, the height of existing structures and their uses, and the height of the poles supporting the proposed transmission line. It is apparent from the above data and the appraiser's fieldwork in the community that the proposed transmission line is a violent attack on the fiber of the community's master plan and zoning ordinance. The proposed transmission line is in the appraiser's opinion, a heavy industrial use. It is ridiculous to equate it with the pole lines along a roadway, nor the catenary system used in the electrification of the railroad. These improvements have a height of 15 to 25 feet and blend with the general profile of the community. The proposed transmission line is supported by poles that are 4 times the permitted height of structures in the immediate vicinity and therefore are overpowering. While it is difficult to quantify the impact in terms of dollars, the appraiser estimates the impact to be a minimum of 10 to 30% on residential property in the community. He considers a 30% diminution in value attributable to the structures in the immediate vicinity, with reduced percentages attributable to property further away. Based on the height of the poles, it is feasible for all property in the community being affected by the installation, since it will tower above all existing improvements and vegetation. The third expert report I'd like to quote from was prepared by Richard Price, an urban planner with the Hoboken firm Avalis, Phillips, Price, and Shapiro. He was engaged to analyze the visual and aesthetic impacts of the proposed line. The transmission lines will be extensively visible to a large population because of their height and the lack of topographic variation in the landscape in which they will be placed. The chief visual impact of the transmission line is that they impose an unpleasant scale on an area which is very much developed at the human scale. Suburban development in proximity to the line is extensive. Buildings are spaced far apart and have a small mass. Extensive areas of lawns and plantings exist with wide residential streets. The scale of the area provides a level of comfort, familiarity, and identity to those who live and work in it. The imposition of the tall, continuous power lines in the area introduces a physical element which overwhelms this suburban human scale. This factor severely impacts the comfort, familiarity, and identity that residents feel in the environment, and thereby reduces their use and enjoyment of the environment. Furthermore, because the real health impacts of such transmission lines is unknown, whether such lines are detrimental or not to human health, the perception that they may be injurious to human health has an even greater detrimental impact on a resident's level of comfort in the environment. What is so inherently unjust in regard to the proposed transmission line project is that in one simple project, not subject to the normal and appropriate channels of review, all of the considerable prior efforts to develop and maintain a suburban residential character will be forever tainted, merely because it is the cheapest and most convenient way for JCP&L to transmit power. In one fell swoop, the character of the community, that which its residents were attracted to in the first place and had confidence would be protected from unwanted and inappropriate technical structures, will be harmed. as I said, there's much, much more in this vein. And I appreciate the Mayor and the Township Committee's indulgence in allowing me to quote so extensively. Now, of course, we all know that this was all done, all of these words were all written a long time ago. And a lot has changed. But the project hasn't changed at all. It's the same project. And we have absolutely no reason to believe that any of these threats have changed either. What I read to you raises many more questions than it answered, but that is the point. JCP&L owes us answers. You've said it, I've said it, the other officials have said it, citizens have said it, the experts said it. Their voices echo through the decades. Without those answers, citizens like us will continue to live in fear and dread, and that is completely unacceptable. Thank you again.
Thank you. It's amazing how, so many years have passed, but the end result still remains the same. What I'd like to do right now is turn it over to Deputy Mayor Greg Bontempo. And again, I just want to take a second and really thank Deputy Mayor Bontempo. There's might not seem a lot, but there's making sure that there's enough chairs and rereading resolutions and really having attention to detail is one of the strengths that the Deputy Mayor has done, and putting this whole meeting together with this type of showing. I can't thank him enough, so big round of applause, please. Thank you, Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor. One of the things we really wanted to do, and as a mayor and I have gone out and meet with people, individual groups, we're getting a lot of questions, right? And very good questions. And collectively, I think, as a community, we're able to come back with a lot of questions to JCP&L. Now, the four of us up here, or any of the speakers who just came on, are not able to answer JCP&L questions. Right? That wasn't the intent of tonight's event. The event is to educate our residents about what's going on and what we and our local, county, and state elected officials are doing to help stop this and change this problem. So the reason why the mayor pointed out to Wendy on my left over there is because she has paper in hand. So what we're trying to do, in essence of time, is to have people that have questions that would be appropriate for JCP&L to ask. So I have a list of questions that we've raised and submitted. Some have been answered. And as we submit questions and get them answered, we're going to post them on our website, and we're going to collect them and to share them with our the leaders of range. They can also post them on their website too to help keep the community informed. But some of the questions we started to ask already, and some we just started getting answers with today, ironically, has been some basic things, right? What is the Monmouth County Reliability Project? How does Monmouth County benefit from this reliability project? What are the economic benefits of the project? Which communities will host this construction? Why is the Monmouth County Reliability Project necessary? What routes did JCP&L consider for this project? And that one, I don't think has given us the answer we're looking for, so we're going to send that one back to them again. Why can't the line be put on the ground? I'm echoing what Committeeman Nicholas mentioned in our resolution, requiring that they do not continue the project in the areas and find the path that doesn't impact our residents. What about exposures to electric and magnetic fields? I think some of the things that Assemblywoman Amy Halen just mentioned are very important to the committee and our residents. How does this project affect the environment? Why can't solar or alternative energy sources be used instead? What about our property values? Is this the same project JCP&L has proposed in the past? When will the construction take place? Does the installation affect property values? Why should a resident not on the tracks care about this project? Does the presence of a 230 kilovolt transmission line produce dangerous electromagnetic fields? Are EMFs hazardous to our health? is this the very same plan proposed in the 90s? Why was this proposal not approved in the early 90s? How many times has power gone out in the area due to there only being two lines instead of the third that they are proposing with this project? But we already have two transmission lines, one backing up the other. If these high power lines were constructed, would we never have another property outage, or power outage? Has JCP&L demonstrated that demand increasing such as additional line is needed? If there is not an electrical demand deficiency, why is JCP&L proposing power lines? JCP&L's plans call for monopole structures to hold wires. What does a monopole look like? What's going to be done with the funds generated from the account that is being collected for potential legal fees? The township, are all the townships looking to fight this project? Has the proposal get approved or denied? If JCP&L does construct the power lines, can they ever increase the voltage? For example, will there be 3 arms on the pole? Can they get 3 more? Can they double the transmission? What will the impact be on our residents? So all very good questions. Some we started to get answers on, others we haven't. But what we're looking to do is collectively from the group here, you're here for one reason, because you're very concerned about this project, and you want to do what's right for the communities we live in. Please, before you leave tonight, if there's any questions you have you think are important, we can address at JCP&L and take full responsibility to getting them over to them and demanding that they answer our questions in a timely manner. And again, we will post them and make them available so all the residents can see the answers we receive. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. What I'd like to do now is call up Deborah Drought. I don't know where she is. Oh, there she is. I thought you were hiding from me. I was beginning to get a little nervous. But Deborah is with an organization that I think a lot of you are aware of. And if you're not aware of what they're doing, I think there's representatives here that can give you some fill-in. But organization named RAGE that is being represented from, I believe, even outside the 5 towns that are immediately affected. But again, bringing awareness, helping raise money. Look, this might end up being a legal fight. And I can tell you as a committee, if it comes down to that, we are prepared. We are prepared. If we need to do that, we're going to fight this. Okay? We're going to do that. But as we wait for this filing and we were waiting for disclosure, we'll have to prepare for what the next step is. But I think one of the organizations, or really the organization leading this, and I think Deborah, you're going to say a few words, please.
Thank you. Please forgive my huge piece of paper. I had a lot of notes, which I actually ended up crossing a lot of it out because some of the Hanlon covered so much of it, and the protection of me. So great job. But I'm here as a Holmdel resident and a board member of RAGE, which is Residents Against Giant Electric. So a lot of you guys have probably seen my emails come through multiple times. Please forgive me, but I'm obviously very passionate about this. But you know, RAGE has really done a lot of work. We are a core team. Actually, it keeps growing and growing every day across the five towns that are affected by this power line proposal: Aberdeen, Hazlet, Holmdel, Middletown, and Red Bank. A great group of people, very dedicated. I have a full-time job and kids, and this is like my second job. I'm afraid I'm going to lose my real job, but that's okay. This means a lot more to me right now. But number one, I wanted to thank Mayor Hines and I'm shaking a little bit. Mayor Hines and the entire township committee for supporting us and giving us this venue to voice our concerns. As I mentioned, I'm here as a RAGE member, but also as a Holmdel resident who's will be very much impacted by this power lines. After hearing everything we've heard tonight and learning about the facts of the project and the consequences, it's clear that at the heart of this issue is really families and the community. My husband and I moved to Holmdel about a year ago. We made a lot of sacrifices to do it. Because we love this town. We had close friends here who love the town. We actually decided to move closer to transportation, stores, schools because we wanted to be close. It was convenient, it was beautiful, again, great schools. We bought our house. It was our biggest investment. I think like a lot of folks, your home is something that you put your life's work and your life's blood into. It was an emotional and financial, huge emotional and financial investment for us. Clearly our house, protects our children. It was also financially something that we thought would grow in value over time. And, that asset would be there for us years from now. So, only a year into this, and I'm really thinking like our entire equity is going to be gone in a couple of years. So, obviously, it's very concerning to me and my entire family and everyone who lives near the right of way. But I think the biggest thing that I want people to get out of this is that folks who are not close to the right of way, who live in the community in Holmdel, to really understand that you will be impacted as well. There's a lot of studies out there about property values. I know Assemblywoman Hanlon mentioned some of them. Home values will decline significantly along the right of way, but they'll decline throughout the entire community. I mean, we're already hearing, real estate agents tell us that people are already starting to turn away. They hear about these power lines and they don't even want to look in this area, and that's very concerning. So property values will go down throughout the entire community, and we all know what that means. Loss in tax revenue for the town, which affects schools. We have about 65 to 66% of our tax dollar goes into the schools in Holmdel, and if that is impacted, that will significantly impact our schools, which is a big reason why people move to this town. Or people are going to have to make that up. The rest of the residents in the town are going to have to make up for it by paying higher taxes. So there's a big impact, and it's not just about property values, it's about the beauty of the community. There are health risks that we aren't aware of, and I don't think we want to take that risk with our children in our community and in this town. So, that's really what we want people to understand, is that this is something that all of Holmdel should be concerned about. We really appreciate all of you guys being here. We know that obviously by being here, hopefully you're supporting this effort. What I want to do is just share with you what Residents Against Giant Electric is about. Again, we're just a core group of folks across all these 5 towns that are working together to try to stop these power lines. I guess best case scenario would be for it to stop completely. We'll take underground. We want to hear some other alternatives. But what can we do to help, and what can all of you do to help? So basically, we are all Residents Against Giant Electric. The core wage committee is working hard to set up the mechanics to keep everyone informed. But at the end of the day, it's up to every single one of us to fight this. So please don't assume that everyone knows about this project. They don't. Don't assume it will go away if you don't get involved and help. It won't, especially during the lazy days of summer when everyone goes on vacation. This timing was impeccable on JCP&L's part. So we need you to stay engaged. So being here tonight, again, you've all shown that you're leaders in this fight. Don't be shy. If you have an idea that you think will help, don't be afraid, do it. You don't have to wait to be told to do it. Any idea that gets the word out about this is a great idea. Act on your ideas and then share them. We want everyone to wake up each morning knowing that you have 2 jobs to do. One is to make some noise about this. Tell your friends, tell your neighbors, don't assume they know, and to grow the army. And make noise by calling the governor's office. I know a lot of people have already done this, but keep doing it. Write to JCP&L, write to the BPU, contact New Jersey Transit. We have to keep doing this. They're going to expect us to get tired, and we can't get tired. We have to keep going. And grow the army. Tell 3 new people a day about it. Yeah, I'm shaking. Can't hold the paper. Because this is our cause. This is all of us. This is our cause all together. We're in this together. It's our homes, our towns, our neighborhoods. Our families are literally on the line. And if we do this together, we think that we can stop this, especially with the amazing support that we have from our leaders, Assemblywoman Hanlon, Assemblyman O'Scanlan, Freeholder DiMazzo, and the Township Committee. We really appreciate you being here to support us. And oh, by the way, There are tables in the back. If you have not done so, please sign your name and give us your email address. We need to build a database of email addresses so we can communicate with everybody. And if you think you already gave it to us, just give it to us again, please, so we can make sure we have that information. And there's also some other information on wage and other things we can do to help. So thanks again for letting me be here.
Yeah, you want me to remind everyone about the meeting on the 20th? Not yet. All right, we won't remind them yet. That's why it's very important to get your email addresses and we can get the information. Look, thank you, Deb, by the way. That was excellent. And I know it's always tough to adjust. You don't want to repeat what's been said, but some of it's probably worth repeating. And I thought you did an excellent job. Now, I really want to conclude by thanking all the elected officials who came here tonight. It means the world to the residents. It means to us, the world, as leaders in Holmdel, to get support from the other mayors, past mayors that are in the audience, certainly all our assembly men and women, and thank you for coming out to show we have to be together here as a community. You know, I've gotten no less than a half dozen to a dozen emails a day, and I got a couple of residents that call me often. And my favorite resident calls me just about every day. So when he called today, I picked up the phone and I said, "Dad, I'm really busy." And he said, "You know, son, they're vandalizing our backyard, son. And you can't let them do that." So I'm going to leave you on that. I'm going to do everything I can. We are going to do everything we can to stop them. Good night. Have a good night. Be in touch. Sign the petitions.